It's Khalid and I streaming live again. This time we will be talking about what's on your mind, Khalid.
Evolution right now, just because one of our regular viewers, and I'm going to be joining his show this Sunday, Objective Ethics, did a YouTube short on trying to make sense of random um, evolution as opposed to evolution supported by a intelligent creator. And I just responded to explain how if he continued his thought process, it wouldn't work. His thought process is if you shuffle a bunch of cards in the beginning, there'll be no pairs. But if you shuffle them, there's a chance there'll be some pairs. I mean, there'll probably be more order in the beginning, quite frankly, because there'll be some sort of order. What's special about pairs versus something order? I said to him, if you think pairs are important, then if you shuffle again, then you're going to lose any of that progress, and you're going to get some other random stuff. And I didn't continue explaining what else was wrong with it, but life isn't as simple as just two things in some sort of order. You've got DNA. It's like a very complicated computer program, millions and billions of lines of code, not just two things randomly put together. That's what I've
Yes,
been thinking about just now.
yes. Your metaphor or analogy reminded me of somebody saying that not even in a million years could a bunch of monkeys playing with a keyboard produce the works of Shakespeare. And
That's right.
um, so it's the idea that um, it is mathematically impossible. But I think people want to explain evolution as, well, we just want to be better than we are, and we want to survive, and somehow just observation of the world around us will make us see use certain tools or create certain tools to assist us in our survival. And it could be argued on that basis. But since you talk about evolution, I don't know if you're aware of some people who think Adam and Eve could still be the first man and woman, and we could still have evolved from apes. What is a big deal? There's no need to even have an argument, because if you look at um, the book of Genesis, it does seem to say that God was talking to Adam and Eve in a protected space, in a walled garden. So they were protected from, all the nastiness outside. And then, eventually, God kicked them out after he told them not to do stuff, thereby using reverse psychology to put ideas in their minds and then kick them out. You know, their the fall of man and their expulsion from Eden.
Hmm.
But
So, some people like, okay, so there's some slightly unbelievable ideas, maybe, and I think some badly or misinterpreted ideas as well from the Bible. So, if you have um, some unbelievable ideas, does that disregard or disprove some believable ideas? So I believe there's evolution, but it's unbelievable to say it was random because we don't have any example of random things creating anything. Um, some people say there are random created like crystals or something. That's their claim that it's random in the first place, and it doesn't make anything like a watch, for example. So that's one thought. I'm not sure the point you were trying to make. Were you
but can
trying
I just
to?
stop you there about
Oh, sorry. I thought
well,
you
because
finished
I,
your
I
point.
think
Gone.
well, no, you said something, and I thought I would just point out. You say random, unbelievable, but a lot of people do believe in unbelievable things, and they can't. And they probably won't shift if you can't give them this life advantages or this life disadvantages. for their view. So, ultimately, most people are sheeple, they're cattle. They want to be in their group that believes in this absurd thing. And unless you can give them cogent, undeniable, reasons, they will just stick with their group. An example would be Christians. Most of them can't even process the Trinity, but they feel they have to cling to it because you have to believe and worship the Trinity if you want to be Christian. So that's what they're going to say. They're going to say, you know, I'm Christian, therefore I worship the Trinity. Not I worship the Trinity, therefore I'm Christian. And I think most people are like that, because of the dominance in the minds of the religion of mum and dad. And
Yes. So yeah, I totally agree that if you can't give people the advantage of changing their beliefs, they probably won't, because there is actually some advantage of being in their current group. One is comfort, uncertainty about whatever they already believe in, and I think the other is that they might have some sort of group or friend group that they feel comfort in. So yeah, that's why I think we talk about it, and I talk about it all the time, the benefits of religion, and the benefits of not religion are just rapidly dying out. And the only reason why they had any benefit from not being in a religion is because they used to be part of a religion and they used to have community and stuff like that. But once they've kind of rejected that, they've lost all the past benefits of being in a religion in the past. But anyway, so yeah, I definitely agree that we shouldn't just convince people that what they're thinking is not logical. We've got to offer them lots of alternative benefits of changing their belief system. Right now, people are very lonely, they're having psychological mental illnesses because without a belief in God, it's really hard to carry on and do difficult things because it's all random apparently if you're an atheist. And it's quite difficult to and so many other things, like religion provides systems for you to get married and make it easier, and if you don't do that, then what happens, there's so many problems. Like women naturally are scared of men, right? So that's why they usually tend to say no or something, that by default. And it makes sense because you could be a mass murderer or something, you total stranger. But religion provides these natural and very easy ways to get married. Like you approach the dad, and the dad knows you because you're in a community, and people there's a natural rating system because there's a community. People can rate you if you're know if you're a crazy person. So there's so many benefits of being religious.
yes, and well, the problem with Westerners is that Christianity is still perceived to be the most powerful religion in the world, and they are still the world's most powerful imperialists, and you can understand that they don't quite want to give it up until it has all collapsed. But it is beginning to collapse because they are suffering in the way that you have mentioned, and ultimately it's a numbers game. Most people will not be changing their religion for the sake of, this one sounds more plausible than the religion of mum and dad, because there might be inheritance reasons for not rejecting the religion of mum and dad, and sibling rivalry, and all these political considerations for people, and they don't want to be kicked out of their group. And one of the things that Carol, if you remember her, this Californian Muslim, was that her father told her that converting to Islam would mean her being treated like a foreigner in her own country. And she has told us, times when people would just hate the sight of her and want to throw things at her just for, wearing a hijab. And she's white. And,
Mm.
frankly, kind of typically American, but I mean, she just couldn't bring herself to believe in the, and because she She's an intelligent woman with an inquiring mind. She started denying the Trinity from when she was a child, and she's told us stories about it. But most people will just go along to get along. And
Mm.
until you really make the point, they won't get it. That actually, if Christianity is no longer working, they should remove it from the premises. If it has died and it's a decomposing corpse, they have to remove it, or there will be, hygiene reasons, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because if you think something is working and it's not, you're basically jumping out of a plane with a parachute, to be broken, and which has failed before, and they don't seem to understand it. And also with Americans, that they do actually have an Islamic foundation because of the First Amendment, which I always go on about, Chapter 2, verse 256, which is contained in the White House Quran and all the Qurans around the world, saying there is no compulsion in belief. Truth stands clear from error in Chapter 2, verse 256. And no other religion even talks about freedom of belief. Not Hinduism, not Buddhism, certainly not Judaism, and certainly not Christianity, which had the practice of burning heretics at the stake. And,
Mm.
and
And
we
I
know,
think it was a new idea, was it not, in America, to have such freedom of belief? Because before, as you keep putting forward, in so-called Christian countries, you didn't have freedom of belief. You had to believe in Christianity, otherwise you'd be burnt at the stake, etc.
yes, because we know about the wars of the Reformation and how strictly it was enforced. Because Christianity is organized religion in the sense that you had to believe for the right reasons, and they had to learn that their catechism so that they don't try to explain the Trinity in their own words and become vulnerable to people asking further questions. I don't know if you know about the catechism. Do you know about the catechism?
No, I keep hearing that word and
It's
I forget
basically
it.
what they learn by heart. It has to be by heart, you know. So, um, um, so nobody, everybody sings from the same hymn sheet, and they don't try to explain the Trinity in their own words, because once you do, all kinds of questions occur. So if they're forced to learn their
So what is the
catechism.
catechism? Is it like a definition of the Trinity that you have to
Oh, and
memorize?
all kinds of other things as well. The birth of Jesus, Mother Mary, all the other stuff that, is part of Christian belief. They have to learn it off by heart. Now they don't bother, but that's why they're in such a mess. Because, otherwise, if you get, a bunch of Catholics and they're word perfect, and they cite their catechism at you, you will find them quite hard to defeat in argument.
Really? I mean, I would love to hear the catechism, then I can try defeating it. But maybe it. I think it'd only be hard to defeat because the person who's saying is not thinking about it, just repeating things like parrots. That's about it.
Yeah, it's like singing, right? You try to talk to somebody and they start singing at you, but they're saying
Yeah.
something. They're singing, you know, um, is louder than what you're trying to say, and they're obviously
Mm.
not listening. It's that kind of thing, that makes you go away, and they want you to go away. I mean, what they do now is if you want to talk to them, they're going to, read this verse and that verse and read it for a long time, even though it's not even relevant to what you're talking about, hoping you will go away. And when you do, they'll declare themselves the winner. Do you see how their
Mm.
methods work? And having been to Speaker's Corner, they don't even answer your questions if you talk to these Christians. They just stand there and they go on and on. And when you ask a question, they just ignore you. Or if they talk to you, they're
Mm.
going to, read
I don't
from
know.
their
It
Bible.
depends. That there are the ones who how can I describe? There are these women who people claim that are just paid with cocaine, they're like drug addicts, and they just repeat stuff. But there are I've had some reasonable conversations, I think, with different people on my channel. Some, yeah, different people, but yeah. Oh, I think there are different categories of these Christian debaters. It's true. Yeah, there are some people who just have no idea what they're saying and just repeating it. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the things is, God wills it, or the power of Christ compels you. Christ is king, and they just have to shout that, and then I guess you'll just have to go away, because you can't argue against that when they're shouting these memorized words at you,
Mm.
and
That kind of stuff puts people off the real quality or benefit of Speaker's Corner, because when I never went to Speaker's Corner for a long time before I ended up actually going, just because one of my friends said, oh, it'd be a nice outing, and he knew some good people there. And I thought, they're all crazy, because when you go, if you hear it from a distance, you hear the crazy people. You just have to go quietly and listen to people having their conversations on the side where you actually have intelligent conversations. Some of the louder people are the most insane.
yes, so and also, if you're all Christian and you all learn from the same hymn sheet and you say the same words, that there's little psychological desire for disagreement. You see, these are psychological weapons to stop people from straying from these beliefs. So I see you're reading um, the chat, and I think I
Yeah.
know who it is. And he says, I suggest that you watch Jason Rizar Georgiani's interview from last night on Gnostic Informant. Um, but he's this Iranian and he's an Islamophobe, basically. And
Okay.
I actually spoke to him briefly when he was promoting paganism, and he actually admitted he doesn't even believe in it, but he thought he could just promote it. And he used to be in Arctos, which is a kind of right wing publishing house kind of thing. But you see, the dissident right, they have no religion, and they go from idea to idea, hoping that it might work. And from Rob Cobb, he can't even begin to say, well, I worship this God because this God is better than all the others, or he can't even say that because somebody else is going to say, no, no, but I worship this other God because um, I think they are in a bit of a pickle. Anyway,
Mm.
Chick says a catechesis is a call and response format of rote memorization in rites and orders. So you don't have to think about it. Well, once you memorized it, you don't have to formulate an argument. You don't have to
Mm.
ask questions. You just keep repeating it until the person asking you goes away, having been
Mm.
defeated, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. What was his point though by Chick, whatever, Chickaman Chick or something? What was his point in saying that he's just defining catechism for us?
Yes, he's helpfully done that, and he's
Yeah.
he's telling me about so now that they want this sort of Gnosticism thing, and Gnosticism
Mm.
means lost knowledge, and
Mm.
before Constantine established Christianity as a Roman religion, Christianity was Gnostic in the sense that all these different snake oil salesmen of Christianity using Jesus as a brand would kind of say, blah, 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 Jesus says, Jesus did that. And everybody would go, oh, Jesus, Mary, and they feel all, happy and safe, and they like the idea of Jesus, whatever. And that was kind of how it worked, as Gnosticism. And they're doing it now, you know
Mm.
they're using Jesus as a brand. Usually, in Speaker's Corner, after a day's arguing with people, somebody comes with a big fat cross, right? And
Mm.
at the end of the day, and basically uses it to kind of shake it at Muslims, and make them go away or something. I know, that's kind of the thing that they do. These, religious symbolism.
Yeah, there's all kinds there. I mean, but I think it's a dead brand though. It's kind of like easy target. Christians are often easy targets. So yeah, it's a dead brand.
Well,
Easy targets because cornered in terms of arguments because they just lose so easily.
well, that's the thing, and they don't really believe in it, so they're operating on hatred and fear. It's like, oh, I hate Jews, and I really like to slay them, and oh, Muslims, do crusades. Let's, so in their minds, it's all this idea when Christians were supreme and slew Jews and Muslims in the Levant, and that's what they like, crusading knights and with their swords and their armor and their horses, slaying these Muslims. That's kind of what they want, and this is the image in their minds, but they can't explain it. But and the thing about Islam is that it is absolutely logical, right? you know
Hmm.
and it's like, I mean, recently I thought of a new slogan: be a better Christian by becoming Muslim, because then
Hmm.
you can still have respect and affection for Mary and Jesus, unlike Jews, and still believe in God, and have a better chance of going to hell because you're no longer worshipping a Jew executed for blasphemy.
Yeah, I think a lot of Muslims have been saying similar things to your better, be a better Christian by becoming a Muslim, because we've always pointed out, like, Jesus' mother Mary wore a hijab, so we might say, you know what, if you just become like, if you were to become a better Christian, you would be just closer to Islam. There would be nothing that really, there would be very little that distinguishes you from Islam. Yeah, so I agree with that, and I think a lot of Muslims have been saying that for a very long time.
Yeah, and I think fundamentally the mystery of the Trinity, or the so-called mystery of the Trinity, can be easily explained. Can you remember my explanation?
The mystery, like, have
Why
you
the
explained?
Trinity had to be the Trinity? Because they didn't really get their story straight, because Constantine was not a Trinitarian. And at the Council of Nicaea, these bishops who were called there couldn't agree on the same doctrine. There were these Arians and there were these Trinitarians. So they were
Right.
already
I mean, I
split
just
from the
remember watching a
beginning.
documentary where it said that it looks like the Trinity was just a copy of some other Trinity that existed within the Roman gods. They just adopted it.
Okay, so let me explain, give you my explanation of the Trinity.
Hmm.
So because Christianity was a cultural appropriation of Jewish scripture, obviously the Jews didn't like it, right?
Mm.
They,
Yeah.
obviously, being not very powerful, they couldn't do anything about the Roman Empire taking their book.
Mm.
Because there's always going to be lots of Jews, happy to be bribed to convert to, whatever what was the mainstream orthodoxy of the time. So Jews who didn't like Christianity would say, "Hey, Christian, you worship Jesus, don't you?" And the Christian would have to say yes. And then the question would be, "You worship Jesus because you think he's the Son of God, don't you?" And the Christian would have to say yes. And then
Mm.
the Jew would say, "Well, the God you think is the Father of your Jesus is the God of Israel, our God, and he is more powerful than your crucified Christ."
Mm. Sure.
So we win because our God is more powerful than your crucified Jesus.
Mm. Yeah.
And and therefore the Trinity, if you if you know that the Trinity is the idea that Jesus is co-equal, co-substantial, and co-eternal with God. So they're
Hmm.
saying Jesus is the same status as God and the Holy Ghost, just
Right. So
to
the question.
prevent anybody from saying Jesus is lower status than God.
Mm. Yeah, it's kind of like trying to fix that problem. I see. Yeah, but it doesn't really fix it because it doesn't make any sense. Um,
Yeah, and it
I'm
raises
kind of,
more
yeah.
questions than answers. And but the thing is, the Roman Empire could say anyone who denies the Trinity is going to get it in the neck, or be burnt at the stake.
Mm, yeah. I am sort of amazed that Christianity. There are still Christians around, but maybe because of the London circle that there's two. So I'm in Ghana at the moment, and the only Christians, and so it's quite a Christian country in the sense that you hear a lot of singing, really loud singing all Sunday, and even other days. Um, but when I talk to the cab drivers, who are usually young men, they're not believers. And it turns out, according to them, I've maybe talked to two cab drivers or something, so it might not be accurate, but it does seem to be accurate if I pass by a church. It's just old women and some young women who follow this stuff, the Christianity, but nobody else really follows it. What do you think that's all about? I mean,
It's the same
I
in the
suppose,
UK.
yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
I suppose. Are there young women still going to church in the UK?
well, not really. I mean, they're trying all kinds of new ways of trying attracting people into church, turning
Mm,
certain churches into nightclubs for young people and, the Alpha course and all kinds of, ideas that are only
yeah.
temporary. Because, the thing is, if you don't really believe in it, you're not going to act on it. So, you might go along to get along and you think, oh, I want to join the Christian gang because they're more so powerful and I want to be with a powerful gang. But if you don't believe in anything, I mean, the whole idea of these religions is that it will make you think that good will be rewarded and evil punished in this life or
Mm,
the next, because God exists to reward good and punish evil. And if he doesn't do it in your lifetime, he will do it, when you pass over to the afterlife. And if you really believe in that, then you might be more prepared to, defend your principles, make sacrifices, go to war, or whatever it is your government wants you to do.
mm,
It's kind of like the
yeah.
72 virgins thing, right? To
Mm.
to encourage, Muslim men to think, that they're going to get all these, virgins when they um, blow themselves
Yeah,
up or
I'm not
whatever.
sure how widespread this. I mean, so we probably talked about this, the so-called 72 versions. It's not in the Quran. It's not in Hadith. It's some sort of weird interpretation. I'm not sure how widespread that belief is amongst Muslims. I think it's a belief that's spread by non-Muslims about Islam. So, um, but yeah, I'm kind of I. I think my problem as a Londoner is that I've always seen Christianity as a dead religion because I'm from London and London is either Muslim or atheist or but like you just don't see it as a Christian religion. You see like pockets of black churches here and there where they're trying to where you when I've been to them and they kind of trying to get the devil out of you and there's all these weird things people they put their hand on there'll be like a um,
Pentecostalists, the
yeah
black churches, they speak in tongues, they roll on the floor.
also, yeah, they all start shaking and they like to believe that something's happening.
The Holy
It's the same
Spirit has
over here.
entered into them. Yeah.
Yeah, over here, in Ghana, they still believe in ghosts and magic and voodoo and stuff like that. And so, apparently, the women, the young women who go to church over here, are just hoping for miracles, and they give loads of money to the pastors. And the pastors are
It's
like
a
the richest
business
people there.
model.
It is absolutely a business model, and the men who are more logical just don't fall for it. They're like, "What is this rubbish? Why am I paying this rubbish?" But women are more like, if only I put a bit more money in, maybe I'd get a miracle and all my problems will be solved." Because I don't think women. I don't know. What do you think is about the psychology of women? They seem to want a miracle. They can't, or they're waiting for a knight in shining armor sort of attitude. And I think that's kind of natural. Maybe they're weaker or something.
Well, women are more ruled by their emotions, right? And their emotions are more volatile than men. I mean, not that some men are not enormously volatile, but suffering from bipolar or manic depression. But I mean, I guess we're all at the mercy of our passions and emotions.
Hmm. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, sometimes I discount even I find it not interesting talking about Christianity because I keep having my
But at
London
least religion
perspective.
says, well, you mustn't do this out the window. So I mean, and really,
What's gone out the
it
window?
is about
Christianity.
it's about, well, moral restraint, or not having sex before marriage, not having sex with anybody who isn't your spouse. I mean, if you try to tell them that, they're going to freak out. Like, well, they think it's a human right to have sex outside marriage, right?
Mm.
And they don't want to marry, so this is really the gold standard of sex. It's like, well, in America, they still call it the marriage license, meaning that, you have to apply for your marriage license with your opposite sex partner, and then you'll be allowed to have sex and children. Otherwise, it's unlicensed. But I think that there's a move to call it the certificate, so people, don't get the idea that that was what marriage was all about. You know, you're not supposed to have sex and children until you're married. And of
Mm.
course, the whole thing about the wedding ceremony is for the woman, right? Because women might think, oh, but he loves me, so I'll have sex with him. And the idea is wedding, no sex before the wedding, only after the wedding. Get it?
Mm.
And eventually, but now it's all mixed up again. So,
Mm.
but these are really simple rules because, obviously, people, women are going to choose different kinds of men. If it's more than a roll in the hay. You have to live with him, and he's got to, provide and protect you and be a good husband and a good father. So, it won't be this, tall and handsome chap who will be, moving on to the next woman the next tomorrow night. You have to choose somebody prepared to commit to you.
Mm. Yeah.
So um so
And
so really,
we've talked about how that doesn't happen because women um, are not so calculated, maybe, and they are emotional, and they like to be with, and they're also competitive, I guess, amongst their other female friends. So if they hear their female friends with had sex with a, I don't know, a tall, seems to be 6 foot millionaire or something, even
mhm.
though they only had a one night stand with that 6 foot millionaire. I think something about women, they really compete in these things. So they said, I want that, and I won't settle for an actual normal person who will stay with me for a lifetime. So it that seems to be playing out at the moment in the dating apps. They're all going for these 1% people, um, and somehow I wouldn't say they're happy with having these one night stands, because once they have sex with a stranger and the stranger just tosses them away after one day, then they start saying all men are horrible. So I suppose what I'm saying is that women are not very good at selecting men, and they're not very good at taking consequences. I think you said that before. Women don't take responsibility. So in short, they need to go back to a religious system where men are their protectors, their dads are their protectors, and their dads sift the men. Oh, you can't hear me?
I can again now. There was a moment when we lost connection. Um, but yes, I agree
Yeah.
with you that women, you really have to concentrate the mind of the woman. No sex before marriage, and now that's gone out of the window, and that's why I say only Sharia would bring that kind of mindset back. And if you really care about your race, I think you would have to accept that you will produce better quality offspring if you force people to marry before having children. Then they take better care of their children. They'd be better parents.
Yeah, and but the I think the problem people have at the moment is they see marriage as not working, and that could be partly due to the fact that women, or I suppose both sides are not selecting very well, but it seems to be that women are doing most of the selecting, and they do selecting based on emotional feelings or to short-term feelings
Yeah, because
rather
they're,
than
they're just
thinking out.
thinking of having sex, right?
Mm.
They're not thinking in the long term. They think it's there to be enjoyed, and obviously it isn't. And you have to choose carefully. You're really supposed to choose only once, and your sex
Mm.
and that will be your sex partner for life. I mean, that is basically monogamy, which these Europeans once practiced. and now it's a kind of sexual free for all.
Hmm. Yeah, and they're not just thinking about sex. It's all about sort of showing off. Like people are constantly. People say nowadays that women are more interested in the the wedding than rather than the marriage.
I've added Rob. I think he wants to speak to you, and I think you probably want to
Hey,
speak to
Rob,
him.
Robin Hood.
Hey, hello, folks. How are we tonight, or this evening, or this morning?
For me, it's this morning. I'm in Ghana at the moment. Where are you?
You
Where is it?
you travel around, don't you, Cleve? Are you
I
trying
know.
to
I just noticed. Yeah.
Are you trying to what's the word? Present your faith to the rest of Africa? Uh, I was
I
looking for
I
better words to say that, but
No, but
you
I'll
know what
tell
I'm
you what
trying to
I'm
say.
supposedly doing. I mean, I say supposedly what I'm doing because one of my students made fun of me because my excuse is um, that I'm looking for a place to settle during World War III, place where you can get all your resources yourself. I love Jordan at the moment, but people are lovely, but it's a desert climate. So if I wanted to get everything I need, my protein, my fish, my meat, and everything, I probably couldn't do it easily there without imports. And if you've got a petrol crisis and I don't know if you know what's going. You probably do know what's going on in Strait of Hormuz. There's a petrol crisis, but not just a petrol crisis, but a fertilizer crisis. Which means you're going to have problems growing.
There's a fertilizer crisis in Australia, mate, because of that situation.
Yeah, I think it's hitting some of the nearer countries first. Like the Far East is also suffering a lot as well, Indonesia and some other countries. So yeah, so that's what I'm supposedly doing here. But one of my students, who's only like 13 or something, he said, "You're always traveling, you're always making excuses that you're looking for some other country to live in, but you're just having fun, aren't you, really?" So it could be that I'm just having fun traveling around.
Right. Are you concerned that World War III will um be like an actual thing that will impact Western civilization and or other advanced civilizations in a real kind of,
Yeah, I
a
don't think it
real
would just be
real
bombs. It'll be a big reset,
thing?
and yeah, and I think a lot of the modern or Western civilizations will suffer a lot because they're not used to dealing with nature directly. So it's going to be a real big collapse. We're not used to, farming or, you know, getting food directly from nature. So we're going to suffer a lot. And so I'm actually like this Saturday, I'm going to go to a place where I'm part of a big Muslim group, and that Muslim group has a huge land, and we're encouraging people of that same Muslim group to become farmers. So I'm going to look into what they're already doing, looking into chicken farming. I won't directly farm. I'll probably need some help because I'm a Westerner. I don't know what I'm doing. And that same area is near the beach. So I'll be looking into, how nice it is near the beach and possibly buy land there and, making different plans. Even my dad's looking into it. He's kind of interested in the whole project. So, yeah.
I mean, it's cool that you have some support to do that. That's interesting. Like in some Western circles, we like, are you preparing? Well, you're a crazy person. The World War II is never going to happen. World War III is never going to happen. The apocalypse is never going to happen. You're an absolute lunatic. Keep holding your cans or whatever, hoarding your cans. It's just like,
Yeah.
no, bro. I
I mean,
need
how long is
support to
that
go
going
on
to
this
last?
journey.
Do you really want to live on baked beans for 6 months and then die? Do you know what I mean? That's what's going to happen. That's the canned food plan.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to go into my plans for the apocalypse, but because they are probably too spicy to you know
Oh, you're gonna
explicitly
go and
say on YouTube. But
you're gonna have an orgy and then die. Is that your plan?
no, no, not at all. I will activate my older warrior genes, and we'll go from there.
I see. Okay, interesting. Well, hopefully that'll work. That's what my son says, who's 20 years old. So I'm tough man. I will. He's currently in London. He didn't want to come to Jordan, where I'm mostly living. And he said, I'm a tough guy. I can't, I'm not sure what to take seriously of what he said. I'm a tough guy. I'm going to go to the River Thames, which is our main river in London, and I'm
Mm.
going to go fishing. And I said, do you know how dirty the River Thames is? Just full of poo.
Yeah, the
You just
Thames
be
ain't the
eating.
river, lad.
Exactly. You just be eating poo and then be like, oh no, I'll just do something. I'll go to the beach. I'll do, I'm like, oh, just give me a break sometimes. But anyway, yeah. So
It's
maybe
fun.
that's your
20-year
time, isn't it?
olds are very kind of well, it's the folly of youth, isn't it? It's like, what's the
Yeah.
old term? Like, youth is wasted on the youth, right? They have
Maybe something.
great
Yeah.
energy, but they don't have the
Yeah.
intelligence to back up the energy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, there is. I think there's some reason why they don't have that wisdom is to have fresh ideas, maybe, possibly.
I think
But
their
I think,
brain is still developing, right?
yeah,
From
yeah,
like
by 20,
from like
yeah,
15 or 16 to like 27 or something is like full brain development.
yeah. The
And so,
prefrontal
yeah,
cortex doesn't develop for boys
yeah,
until
yeah.
21, so it's a bit slower, and so they
Hmm.
take riskier decisions. Yeah,
Which probably works out in some contexts. Like I think a
yeah.
lot of English kings and a lot of older maybe warrior cultures, they had some crazy folks that you know what I mean, like went and succeeded on the battlefield. I mean, Alexander the Great was very young, right?
Hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting example. And then he sort of regretted it at the end, didn't he? Because didn't
Well,
he
he was
famously
assassinated as far as I
was
know, but
he? But even then, he said, "When I die," I can't remember exactly how he died, right? But he said, "When I die, leave my hands outside the coffin or whatever it was, to show that when you leave empty-handed. No, even if you conquer empires or huge parts
right,
of
I've
land."
never heard. That's very wise, though. Interesting.
Well, it's wise or a late realization. I'm not sure which one. Um, but I think we're constantly, I feel that constantly that I like to see myself as a spiritual person, but I'm constantly in fear of myself being dragged into I want more, and realizing that doesn't actually make me happy.
I've recently been like rediscovering Plato, right? And I actually think I got it wrong. I thought Plato was more of a like a Catholic conception of like the logos, like logic, rules everything and blah blah blah. But rereading Plato, it turns out like there's a lot more to it where it comes down to the world of forms and you can actually kind of interact in this world to a certain extent, and there is like dare I say a Dionysian conception of like philosophical rule. I mean, the idea of Plato's like ultimate republic or whatever is you tell a noble lie to the lower classes, and then you basically rule with like wise men or magi or what's an Eastern form? Yeah, magi or learned philosophers. I don't know, but
Hmm.
yeah. Now I'm reconsidering. I think maybe that's the go. Maybe that's actually the perfect system. You know what I mean?
So Claire was saying that a lot of, let's say, Western people jump from one idea to another. Um, so I suppose that sounds to me that's what you're doing. You're jumping from one idea to another. So maybe it's good to experiment, but I would recommend just coming to Islam. Islam is a solid religion that more and more people are realizing cannot be beaten intellectually. But these ideas that you might just find on the go here and there, just they'll probably be obliterated if you kind of discuss them with anybody.
Rob is an alcoholic, so he might have a problem becoming Muslim.
No.
I would say,
I'd be
I would
happy.
say,
I'd be happy to give up alcohol, but I think I need something else. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't know what it is, but there's some kind of thing within me that I need to like just well,
So
it's
I
Dionysian
would say
really, isn't it? Or Promethean. It's
Islam has
like
got the
letting
best.
go of like the order and really just, discovering oneself.
The
Well, you
number
might.
one religion for kind of combating uh, alcoholism is Islam. Islam is like the religion, the only religion that says don't do it in the first place. So, and it's famously, I don't know if it's famous, but amongst the Muslims, that people would like everybody in Islam is the early Muslims are all drunkards, mostly not all drunkards, but like it was normal to drink 5 times a day. That was normal, like that was their pastime, like, and they stopped there and then. So that's an amazing track record. So, and I
But
would
that
say,
also
yeah,
suggests like
mm,
that there was a warrior class, i.e., like the people from the mountains, the wild men, that drank themselves silly before a battle or whatever, which is very kind of European. Like that's
no, that
a
was just their hobby. That was their hobby, just to drink. But also the
well, but
reason
it's
why,
also a Viking thing. It's also a German thing. I mean, I don't know. But all I'm saying is like the initial spark of your civilization is the Islamic civilization is because
mm,
of these warriors. And so maybe you shouldn't like poo-poo their initial youth, right? We speak of like the folly of youth.
no, I
That's kind
mean,
of what created you.
no,
Do you know what
I,
I'm saying?
no, I wouldn't say so because they were just a nomadic group, the Arabs who where Islam started, were just fighting amongst each other. Were getting nowhere forever. They were just like a loser group. It was only until Islam came up that they rejected alcoholism and gambling and so many things that the Quran says to reject. Only then did they become incredibly successful. So I wouldn't say because of their past they were successful. It's because when they rejected that past and took on the Islamic principles, that made them incredibly successful. And those principles still work today. And yeah, I think you were kind of about to say you don't know why you drink. It's because there's something missing. That's really simple. You know, we only take drugs because there's something missing.
Interesting. I mean, they do say that like the number one, like the psychological studies of addiction say that the number one cause of, or the not the number one cause, but the number one like reason why people are still addicted is because they don't like have a community or a family. In other words, if they had like a strong family or a community or people that they could interact with on a daily basis, then they wouldn't like be the adherence to the said addiction, whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Have you heard of the book Lost Connections? It's a really good TED talk by, and he basically demonstrates that the reason why people are addicted is because they're missing connections in their lives, connection to nature, connection to other people, connecting
Right.
to something bigger. So all these connections. So, and that's what Islam provides. So you will quickly lose the need for alcoholism or alcohol if you had a good replacement, which is Islam. Islam provides everything, and no other religion provides anything close to it. These are not just words. There's no. This is like these are not just words. Like all the so many converts to Islam talk about unity. You become a Muslim, you're suddenly a brother, right? You're part of a huge family. Bang, immediately, and you got places to go
It's better
to.
than AA.
It's
Yeah,
very much multiculturalism in that way. Like it's a bit like Christianity. Like, would you like? I've asked this question Christians many times. Like, would you rather a bunch of Somalians who are Christian in your town, or would you rather a bunch of white people that aren't Christian? And it's like, it's hard to answer that question.
I don't even understand that question, but like, but like, the point is, you should just become Muslim. You already said you might consider it, and it would change your life. And I did say, contact me, and I've emailed you. You don't even have to contact me for a live stream, but we're doing live streams here. It looks like we. but I wish you'd respond to my email as well, and then we could have a recorded live stream on my channel as well. But even if not, I could point you to a local mosque, and then you'll be on your way.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure. So wait, so that like the Islamic world is so like interconnected that you could recommend a local mosque
Yeah.
in like South Australia of
You
all
know how
places.
I found a wife in Ghana, even though I lived in Jordan. I just pressed Google Maps. I searched Ahmadiyya, which is my kind of Muslims. We're the most organized Muslims in the world, right? And then I just phoned up the number, and the Imam said, "Yeah, come down, we'll sort you out." And then a local matchmaker sorted me out. Thanks.
That
Another
easy,
part
eh?
of the country. Never been to Ghana before in my life.
Wow, interesting. I can see why Claire raves on about the power of Islam and or like its soft power or something. But
You should
that's
watch.
interesting.
Have you watched videos of converts to Islam that are endless on YouTube? Have you watched any of them? Because then you get a sense of how powerful Islam is. And they always good interviews are deep ones, and they'll ask like, "How has Islam changed your life?" And they'll be like, "Oh, the unity, my mindset, everything's changed." Like even if there's difficulties, there are no more difficulties in a way because the
Is it not
difficulty
like
is just yeah.
I mean, I just think of like Saudi Arabia and the Gulf states, right? And I worry about or even Iran. I worry about the fact that there is an elite that exists above you, right? And my only like goal in life is to become part of the elite, and not a Jewish elite, but some kind of elite. I mean, we used to have an elite. It was the
I'm part of the
the
biggest
wasps
elite
or
there
whatever.
is.
But
There's
no, but
the number one elite is
let me
God.
finish let me finish
Go
let me
on.
finish
Okay.
because the reason why I bring up Saudi Arabia is you have this oligarchy or genetic kind of what do you call it, royalist, what is the fucking, I can't remember the term, but they're not necessarily adhering to all the laws of Islam. Like they're
Oh,
happy to
definitely
have
not.
all of the oil, and they're happy to have a bunch of slaves that believe that they're like divinely inspired. So like how would you explain that aberration within your it, or do you think like they're lost and we don't care about them and whatever? But like they're obviously the movers and shakers in the world, and like the average Muslim isn't necessarily. Do you know what I mean, though?
I know what you mean. It's natural to connect to the highest power, as it were, which is you're trying to find through some sort of elites. Muslims don't try to connect to. They don't try to find their power through something like the King of Saudi Arabia or something. They find it through direct connection with God, and they find their problems solved directly through God. That's it. They believe in a living God, and they're successful within their lives.
But what does okay? I have many
So that
questions.
you don't have to have such a long journey trying to find this elite or the Illuminati or whatever, which is difficult. Like you've got direct connection with God. Test it out. You might not. You don't have to take my word for it. That's the thing. Just start believing in God, and God promises in the Quran, in saying the Prophet Muhammad, and generally in the Quran, that if you take one step towards me, I'll take 10 steps toward you. The meaning is that you just have to make small effort, and then God will make a bigger effort, and you will see in your life things will change. You'll see God affecting your life.
But I mean, for me, that just sounds like evangelical evangelicalism, right? Which is I've dealt with that in South Australia, where they'll invite you to a church and they'll put on a
No,
big
you don't
show.
have to go to a church. Don't go to a mosque. Do it in your home. Test the
But
theory.
how would I even do? I mean, I have my own pagan practices where I feel like I'm connecting with God in air quotes. But like,
Okay, is your life improving? Are you getting over alcoholism? Like you should have some sort of measure.
no, in fact, they kind of encourage me to drink further. But
So
I don't
that's
want
a
to go into
terrible.
that. But
Just forget that. Just like cross that one out. Like you need to get through the process of rejecting rubbish ideas quickly.
Wow,
Like if
again,
you really
I don't
want to
want to
be
call my
successful, but
my
you
contacts
basically
with
cook.
my ancestors as rubbish. That's a crazy thing to
No,
say, but
there are like ideas that the cavemen had, and I wouldn't approach them. Like I would just forget that. Like just if you really want to be happy and successful in your life, you'll be really quick to reject bad ideas. Like you
would
already
you
you probably
would
don't.
you like consider? I mean, I don't want to
I
like
mean,
kind
do
of
you
go on
think
about
being an
this stuff,
alcoholic
but
is good for you?
well, obviously not. But
So
let's look at
then why do you
let's
reject
look at
anything then?
Afghanistan for a second here, right?
Okay.
So America pulled out. I mean, big ups to the Afghans. I mean, they dealt with the Russians. They dealt with the Americans. I mean, it was a long, arduous struggle, right? It was amazing, to be honest. Like I have immense kind of respect for these people in the mountains of Afghanistan and so on
Yeah.
to really go through this stuff. I mean, if you look at the Russian Afghan war, like the casualties were absolutely fucking crazy. And I don't know how they could even do it. I think, like you said, it's like some kind of divine force that keeps them together or something. But anyway, but like what are they doing now? Like it's just further just chilling out in the mountains and like suppressing women, or like what's the like there's for
Okay,
me,
I'll tell you
like
what
are
they're
they
doing
going
now.
to build like the next like cathedral? Are they going to do anything that's interesting?
Shall I
I don't
tell
know.
you? I'll tell you, I just watched a YouTube clip with a CIA agent who summarized what happened in Afghanistan before the Americans came in and after, sort of thing. And basically, before the Americans came in, they were net exporters of food. But afterwards, the Americans turned them into heroin dealers. So they produced loads of heroin, and as soon as they left, stopped all the heroin again. Do you know what I mean? So they're already making progress. Now, are they oppressing women? They probably are a bit too harsh, whatever, but they probably put a lot of order back in. And if you check out people who are travelers, like big YouTube travelers, they love Afghanistan. So we shouldn't watch CNN for our belief system. We should probably watch more independent people.
All right, all right. So it's good for males then, but is it good for
Maybe
women?
it's good
Like
for
sell me
women.
on the
Maybe that.
women thing.
Oh, okay. Let me try to sell you on it, even though I don't know everything about Afghanistan. I think, first of all, we have to get our Western lens off and like what is good for women, what is bad for women. Like maybe women do like to cover their hair, and maybe women are choosing to be in that lifestyle. Many Muslim women like that. I'm in a Muslim household. They like to cover their hair because it gives them freedom, because they actually care about their hair more than you do, sort of thing, normally, most men do. Yeah. So
Right.
it's a different perspective. And if they are getting everything they need, for example, they get a nice husband and they have lots of children and have everything provided for them, that's not a big deal. That's actually a really good thing. And women, Western women, are not getting those things. So maybe we have to reevaluate our thinking. Yeah. Sorry, I can't always hear you because there seems to be a weird connection problem.
Yeah, sorry, mate. I'm not sure what's happening, but yeah, I've had some blips in the background as well. But yeah, no, I kind of see what you're saying. I just okay, so joining a mosque, like say I turn up day one, I'm like this weird white fucking Westerner who walks into a mosque, like it. I guess number one, do I have to learn Arabic in order to pray, or like
No.
what's the deal?
You'll find, I think, generally find Muslims are very caring, nice people. They don't expect anything of you. They'll treat you like an honored guest, and and they'll take things slowly, as slow as you want. There's no compulsion in religion. They'll be like, don't. There might be somebody on the side say, "Oh, you should become Muslim straight away." Some over enthusiastic people, maybe some of the younger ones or something. Um, but yeah, you'll probably get some free food or something. That's probably what will happen, and you'll just keep
Hmm.
going there as long as you want, because they usually have very good food, and especially in the mosque that we run. It's like one of our things that we do is we give free food all the time, lunch and whatever, especially the bigger mosques. So it'd be cool.
I
It'd be fun.
Claire just fucking scamming comments. Claire, can you like weigh into this? So, like, I mean, Khalid is like obviously laid out, you know, a mosque is kind of chill or whatever, but like, I'm not afraid of entering a mosque. I mean, the
You've
only
never
reason
done
I
it
would be
though.
afraid of entering a mosque is because
Claire's been to our mosques. So what did you think? What
Great
was your
curry.
experience of?
Great curries. I've had quite a few curries there and
Hmm.
the events, but the Ahmadis are the most hospitable Muslims, giving free curries and everything. But
right, you can't sell me the whole Muslim thing on food, Clay.
what
It
about
needs to be
women?
something
Maybe
else.
maybe you want to, become a father, and maybe Muslim
Absolutely,
women
I do.
are
Yeah,
more
absolutely.
likely to be a good wife and mother than you might even find a Muslim woman who is white in a
I
mosque.
mean, my only thing would be like, I want to, I want to like kind of corrupt them in some ways. In other words, like, I want to get like the wholesome, covered up Muslim girl, and then just say like, you don't have to wear that. You're actually free now. We can just chill in Western society, and I will support you. Like, you know what I mean? So maybe that's my sin. Like, I think like I can set her free type thing.
Yeah, I think you ruin both of your lives, in short, because Islam actually helps you in all your problems.
Are you saying like if I give a lady too much freedom, she will just like become a whore? Is that the concern
No, I'm
here?
not saying like she has to make her own choices. You can't give
You
her
can't.
freedom. Like if you encourage her, saying, "Oh, you don't need any rules," like don't people need rules? Like when you read a self-help guide, like or whatever you call it in Australia, these books to find happiness. Don't they give you rules? Imagine a book you open and it has no rules. What kind of useless book you wouldn't pay for a book with no rules that says do whatever you want? That's just stupid. So that's kind of what the West promotes, like a kind of stupidity, which is like no, you can do anything you want and you'll be happy. And you everybody's testing this theory out and it's not working.
Not
It's actually
working.
making everybody miserable.
Right. No, I understand. I understand. Again, like
Hmm.
I go back to Plato, I think we need a noble lie. We are kind of lost.
Yeah.
Um, I
It's
guess
not
my
a lie, though, is
only
it?
sorry?
It's not a lie. You can't prove
Your
demons.
audio is very choppy, Claire. Like it's concerning.
I thought you
Okay.
said Plato's eye, which is I thought you meant by Plato's eye a sort of a deep spiritual or philosophical eye or something. What did you say? Plato's
Like
eye?
Odin. Like Odin taking his eye away in order to get wisdom. A
Ah, that's
great
what I
pagan
thought you were
tale.
saying.
But no,
Cool.
I wasn't saying that.
Yeah, I thought
So
you were saying something like it. Go on, but not Plato's lie. I think Claire
he
thought you were
said
saying something about
noble
lie.
lie. Are you familiar with the concept of the noble lie, Khalid?
Noble
Hear
eye.
me? Noble lie.
Oh,
Have you heard of the
something
noble lie?
maybe something like a white lie or something like that.
You can find a Wikipedia entry on it. It's basically religion. This is what people believe religion is, the noble lie. To get, the
Oh,
cattle to believe and do the stuff the government wants it to do and keep that group together. And it's a Greek idea. I think it was
Claire,
Plato.
don't reveal all your cards to Khalid. He will like call you out as some kind of witch or something. That's Khalid. You never heard that. You never heard that.
yeah. I mean, I've heard the idea from whoever it was, I can't remember, Mark saying that religion is the opium of the masses. So it's the same idea that it's kind of like a lie that controls people. I've heard of that. It's not. I don't think it's a new idea particularly. Um, and I don't agree with it. I think that's just a lie to encourage people to have no rules and then ruin their lives. So,
Well, I mean, the whole
yeah.
point of the noble lie is for it to be a legal system that the masses live under, and then the elites thrive above that, i.e., the philosophers. Um, and maybe it's like a pride within me or something, like the sin of pride or something. But like, to be honest, I consider myself a philosopher, and I consider myself in some ways above the plebs. And it's not necessarily because I'm doing well now. It's just like I look at my ancestors and I think I did come from greatness, and I need to get back there. I need to thrive and talk on the internet to get back there, I guess.
You
Do
need to
you know what I'm
sire
saying?
legitimate offspring. You're also a bit bubbly yourself, Rob. So I don't know if it's anyway. If you don't marry and have legitimate offspring, you die out. It doesn't matter what race you are or religion. You know, I mean, this is a brutal survival fact, and I've been saying all these religions are about forcing men and women to marry each other and have legitimate children and stay together for the sake of the children. It's Our sexual urges are so strong that unless we are forced to observe these social conventions, we will just pump and dump each other and abandon and abuse our children. This is a reality of human nature, Rob.
I understand, but like I would rather be childless
Okay,
in
then
order
you'll die
to
out. A lot of white
transcend
men think like
into the
you.
elites rather than just like you know be like a mass that breeds after the
Okay,
fact. Do you know what I mean though?
I don't think you'd rather be childless. What it
I think he
is
just wants to
that
die like
you,
Hitler
that's not a good
or
way in
Jesus,
which.
right? Oh, I've gone out with a big bang and I've killed myself after committing lots of violence. Wow, aren't I great? Bye.
Oh, is that his warrior planner who's thinking for World
Yes.
War Three?
I'm gonna
This
have
is
to
how this
rejoin.
is how nihilists
Yeah,
think.
you are just like completely anyway. I'm gonna have to rejoin because we have some massive audio issues here. Sorry.
Hmm, sure,
Uh,
cool. So,
is my audio
um,
okay, Khalid?
yeah. I mean, there generally has been kind of a weak connection, but it's okay. Yeah,
Yeah, we can
yeah,
hear each other. That's the main thing. But you
yeah.
see, these white men, I think they kind of want to go out like some school shooter or something. It's like they want to kill all these people because they're so angry,
No,
and
I
then
think the white. I think
it's
what.
even called suicide by cop. This is how
Yeah.
nihilists think. I just want to kill all the people I've always hated, and then I'll kill
Mm,
myself. That's
yeah.
kind of how Rob
That
is.
could that could be one analysis, and the analysis through that kind of makes sense to me in the sense that they've been watching a lot of movies and they want to have to be heroes in their own story, and they're missing that. They've kind of been sidelined by society out of their own choosing because they're not successful or becoming increasingly not successful, so they want some heroism in their own life. But another analysis could be that white men have become feminized because they haven't been raised by father figures but by mothers, and feminized means that they've over what's the word, over indexed or overvalued their feelings. Like, I want to go with what my feelings tell me, not what my logic tells me to do. So I don't feel like following rules because that would be limiting, and I'm claiming that I don't mind being dying lonely. But if you thought about it logically, you would actually hate being, dying lonely and having no children. So would you agree? Western men have become feminized because they've been raised by single mothers, and they're overindulging in their feelings rather than their logic. What do you think? Can you hear me? Can anyone hear me? Am I talking to myself? I have to recheck my speed. I've got 180, 150 megabits per second. I'll respond to. I'm not sure what's going on. Heidegger was raised Catholic, but was obviously atheist because he was an existentialist. Okay, maybe. I don't know who that is. I'm just responding to things until I can hear somebody else.
Can you hear me? Because
I can hear you now.
I've added Rob again twice, but
Yeah.
he's muted.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But
Go on.
I mean, we're talking in the chat basically about well, Hitler was raised Catholic, so he pretended to be a Christian, but obviously, he didn't believe in any of it. Heidegger is a philosopher who was also raised Catholic, but he's obviously, he obviously didn't believe in God because he's an existentialist. I don't know if you know what an existentialist is.
I forget. You're gonna have to remind me.
So an existentialist basically thinks, we're here, what shall we do? But if you believed in God, you would know what to do because God has laid out a plan for you. You have to live by these rules, But it's only an existentialist who thinks, well, what shall we do? Because he doesn't believe in God, even though he was raised Catholic. But there are lots of people like that. They were raised Catholic, but they don't believe in any of this.
Oh, they're raised Catholic, but they don't believe in their own religion. Oh, they're just kind of culturally Catholic.
Exactly. And this is how the government wants them to do, because the government is scared of people taking their religion literally, because if men actually got together and acted logically, they would overthrow their government, right? And they wouldn't be afraid of threats.
Hello, folks. I think the audio issues have been solved. I think I had like X or one of the other streams open, and that could have corrupted everything. But so Claire, did you mention Heidegger?
Yes, he was an existentialist, wasn't he?
I mean, you mentioned Uncle H as well. That's crazy. But like they were all rejecting the Catholic Church. I mean, that's their whole philosophy is rejection of the Catholic Church, right?
Yes, but they were still, culturally Catholic. That's what I'm trying to say. Europeans still.
Heidegger was not culturally Catholic. I mean, okay, he was like physically as a person, but his philosophy wasn't.
I know, because he's an
And no,
existentialist.
well, no, what? That's just a malfeasance of his philosophy. So what Hitler and Heidegger were trying to do, and Nietzsche, is go back to the ancient Greeks. That's what they were doing, and they were reconsidering the old ideas like Plato and so on, and rejecting the Catholic philosophy on its face, right? So
I
it
mean,
wasn't
I've
like
seen.
they were
I've,
culturally Catholic. That's That's a crazy thing to say. They were
I mean,
rejecting that outright.
there's counter arguments in the chat, and I have seen some argument that to some extent, Hitler thought he was a Christian at least. So I'm not sure what the truth is exactly.
No. He was like a Charlemagne figure. He used the Catholic Church as, like, in other words, the Catholic Church didn't reject him. In fact, some bishops supported him, and that so he used the Catholic Church to just gain more power. Like it wasn't like an embrace of the Catholic Church. And in fact,
So he kind of rejected it.
he was extremely suspicious of the Catholic Church.
But how could he be extremely suspicious of the Catholic Church, and then the Catholic Church supports him?
Because it was beneficial for all. for all at the time. It was
Yeah.
beneficial for Italy and Germany, in other words,
Mm. Yeah.
politically.
Anyway,
Do you know what I mean?
I could imagine. Yeah, there could be so many motives. Some people, like in the chat, are saying he was just bankrolled by the banks. Because famously, I think World War II and probably World War I, they were both
Yeah, but if someone
funded
gives
by
you
both
money, are
sides
you
by the
not
same
going to
funds.
take it? I mean, if someone
No,
gives you
a lot of
money, are
people
you
have
not going to
morals.
take it to
A,
get your goals?
a lot of people have morals, but yeah.
I mean, like, to be honest, what Hitler did wrong is he didn't realize the extent that he was at war. I mean, he thought he was against France and England and Russia. In fact, he was at war with the world. If not the world, he was at war with the Jews, which like that's a whole different ball game, and he didn't even fucking realize that happened. Do you know what I mean?
He thought the British were going to be reasonable. How wrong
Yeah,
he was.
he wasn't. He was dumb. He wasn't smart enough to have that position, unfortunately. But his goals were noble.
In what
Hmm.
way, noble?
Maybe because he did
You,
start
you, you,
In an ancient
Volkswagen.
Greek sense, they were noble because
you think it's noble to
he
genocide Jews,
wanted
do
to
you?
raise his people into the elite. He
You think
wanted to
Yeah,
take control of the order that we live under now.
you think it's
he,
noble
he
to
That's a
genocide
noble goal.
Jews, do
That's
you?
a noble goal.
Do
no,
you
no, I can
think it's noble
understand,
to
but
genocide Jews, do you?
no, I don't think he's saying that. I think let's make it clear:
I don't think he
genociding, killing
did
people is
genocide
bad.
Jews, but we can go
Well, they're
into
still
that if you want
around,
to.
but I guess he made a pretty good attempt. Do you
You just
regret his
admitted that. You
failures,
just
though?
admitted the fact. You just admitted the fact, Cliff.
Well, the story is that he killed 6 million of them. I mean, you could say, yeah,
Yeah, that's the
you
story. Yeah,
got all of them.
Mm.
the ones who
Because
write the stories rule the world.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
well, Western
what was
media
the
rules the world.
population? Okay, so first of all, I can see how okay, it's bad to genocide or kill Jews or kill all the other groups of people that he was killing, right? Let's put that to one side. And then I can see why his people supported him because he was making his country great again, like the American version we're going through right now. Um,
He
he,
was
you know,
a
bought a
he was a
Volkswagen,
he
so
was a
many things.
Caesar. He was a Caesar figure. He was a Trump figure. He was a populist. Yes,
Yeah,
that's the reason why he was voted in. Right?
yeah.
But there's a problem with populism. Populism is not in other words, he wasn't pagan enough. Maybe you're right, Claire. Maybe you're right. Maybe he was secretly Catholic. But in my mind, he wasn't pagan enough because he had a plan, but his plan was flawed. And it was flawed in multiple aspects.
Yeah, I guess he was just like
Well, I
a
don't
normal
know.
soldier, and then he got a lot of
Exactly.
power, and he
Exactly.
maybe didn't know how to manage that power, and
Exactly.
yeah.
And he suffered from victory sickness. He had some initial successes and he thought he could take over the world because of his initial blitzkrieg acts in
Mm,
France and so on. And then for
mm.
some reason he thought the British would ally with him, which was foolish. And yeah, he was a fool basically. The be all and end all of Hitler he was a fool.
So, Rob, you, I wasn't saying Hitler was secretly a Catholic. I'm saying he was a confirmed Catholic, but he didn't believe in of that. I'm also the same of Heidegger. I think you
Mhm.
misunderstand me. Um, and
Wait, so
thank you
are you
for
saying like those who are initially Catholic don't have anything to say because they're they're tainted already, or what are you saying?
no. I'm saying that there are lots of cultural Christians who don't really believe in the Christian belief system. They don't really think Jesus is God. They don't really worship the Trinity, but that because their parents are Catholic or whatever, they say they are too. right?
Which
That's
is a
all I'm saying.
weakness. Yeah, that's a weakness. Yes, I
And
agree with you.
furthermore, I I've forgotten what I was going to say now. Oh yes, so about World War II, you know that the Anglo-Saxons were Saxons from Germany who moved to England, don't you? So that they're the
Yeah,
same
huh?
race and they're the same religion, and yet they fought two world wars with each other. And this means
Yeah,
there's something
but
wrong
Claire,
with
I
their
mean,
religion. Can you
the Battle of
listen?
1066. I mean,
Okay, we don't
do
want
we
to do
have
that.
to go into the history of England? I mean, what are you
No, I'm
talking about?
making the point that these Saxons, who are really the same race, they were Teutons who have the same religion,
But they
fought
weren't
to
in
listen to me.
control. They weren't in control.
For fuck's sake, I'm trying to make the point that Christianity failed to stop the Saxons from destroying each other. That's all I'm saying. So Christianity is kaput, but no Westerner will acknowledge this. It doesn't
All
even
right, all
compute
right,
with
all
me,
right. No, no,
does it?
no, 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 no. I will concede that, but I mean, Alfred the Great used Christianity as a tool to defeat the Vikings, and so, like, at least the English got like their own nation there for a little while.
And now they're under American dominion, and America
Yeah, because
also
they lost
identifies
in
as
battle. That's
Christian.
all it comes down to is force. I'm sorry, but that's all it comes down to is
Okay,
organization,
and you're going to continue to
IQ, and
pretend to be
force. That's all
Christian.
it comes down to.
Yes. Eventually, the Christianity will run out of steam. You seem to think that Christianity can continue its
No,
conquest.
Christianity's over. I will agree with you there. I mean, Nietzsche wrote a book about this thousands, hundreds of years ago. I mean, I completely agree. I mean,
So
what
what were you saying, Rob? You just need IQ and force to achieve what? Like to control other countries or become powerful or
total
successful?
victory? Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. What do you say you need IQ and wisdom also to maintain that wisdom? Like
Wisdom and
you mentioned.
IQ is like the same thing, at least in my
Oh,
mind.
okay. Oh, okay. Cool. Yeah, yeah. So, what do you say? Where do you get this wisdom and IQ from? Does it just there, or can you adopt it? I would say Islam's got a lot of wisdom and IQ that seem to be working.
Where? Where is the IQ of the Muslims working? I mean, okay, you're having a scrap with Israel, but I don't see the victory outcome here.
Hmm. Okay. I would say it's one of those quiet revolutions, like how are Muslims taking over Western countries. Then there's no need for guns or anything. They're just out reproducing, and their ideas are being sustained or continued with their children because their
Is
children.
subversion and something God looks on like with favor?
Subversion? What do you mean by subversion? Like,
Well,
are
you're
you saying
using underhanded tactics, is what you're
it's not
doing.
underhanded?
You're
You
trying
think?
to
Do
outbreed
you
and
think?
invade under the radar.
So having kids that are raised up well is being subversive, or voting in mayors or electing people through democratic system is subversive? I don't think so. It's just a normal process.
Well,
I'm just saying it's
no,
a peaceful
I'm not
process.
saying it's directly like a sin or whatever, but what I'm saying is you're using people against their will in order to take over other countries. In other words, you don't care about pagans or Christians
No, no,
or Western.
Muslims. It's not not care.
You don't care about the people that are victims of your expansion. Yes.
No, it's the opposite. Like Muslims care about
Well,
people.
why
In
would you
fact,
expand then? Why wouldn't you let Britain be Britain?
to help people. So in the Quran, it says
Well, this sounds
Muslims
like
will
an
no
evangelical. This is a
no.
warp. This is a
It doesn't
warping of
sound like
God's will in
anything.
my mind.
Don't compare like random things to each other, right? So like in Islam, the Quran literally says to Muslims, you are the best of all people because you are raised for the good of all of humanity.
So
That's advice.
supremacism. So you're a Jew
It's not.
then?
No, it's what? It's only okay. How do you say one person is better than the other person? It's not really suppress. Is it supremacism for me to serve you? It
No,
doesn't
but
make
it's
sense.
just, no, but it's supremacism to take over London via whatever means that you can do it. In
Democratic
other words,
means.
like, well, I mean,
Oh,
every
come
means
on.
possible.
No, it's not every means possible. We're not bringing out guns. We're not forcing anybody. We're being nice to our neighbors and stuff like that. And people like us, and Islam is growing in popularity through
So,
good
Khalid,
examples.
I need to. So, this is a great conversation because I need to bring up the SJWs, right? So, the SJWs think that they can defeat the patriarchy or whatever, the ultimate
SHW like
evil.
Jehovah Witnesses or something.
No. Like I'm talking about the lesbian LGBT people,
All that stuff.
the left,
Okay.
right? The
Yeah.
left more broadly. They can take over states and towns and countries via subversion. And when I'm talking about subversion, I'm talking about speech, right? In other words, like violence is like good if certain groups do it, but it's bad if certain other groups do it. In other words, they convince the victim population, i.e., the English, that Muslims are good, or sorry, Muslims. That was a Freudian slip. Immigrants are good if they can convince them via speech. In other words, what you're saying is you're afraid of violence and you will use speech to shut down violence.
Muslims are famously not scared of violence, and the most brave people you'll find anywhere. And that's been even demonstrated in your own country with that guy who ran forwards, that Muslim Syrian guy who protected and saved so many people at Bondi Beach. So Muslims are famously not scared.
Yeah, but who was on the other side of the gun in Bondi
Some
Beach?
insane people, but they don't represent Islam.
See, this is speech. So you will just cast away your crazies as like some kind of
Well,
aberration.
most people. I mean, okay. What's your opinion? Do you think it was a famous? What do they call it? Not red flag, false flag, Israeli false flag to, um, you know, make an excuse to go against
Well, you
Muslims.
tell me.
I mean, there's
You
too
tell
many
me. I
examples
mean,
of false
are
flags.
the I mean the Jews say that um I mean some Jews they say that Islam is actually a tool and or an alliance against um the English and or Western people in general
You can make that.
because of past sins. And they call them the people of the book and they respect them because of that, right? Because
So
you're
we
all
call the
Abrahamics.
Jews Muslim. Yeah, in our Quran we call the Jews and Christians people of the book. So I'm not sure if the Jews call us the people of the book, but
They do. They do as well,
oh,
I
they do.
guess.
Oh, that's nice. Okay, so yeah, I don't see what the problem is. We're just being nice to people. I don't know.
By
I don't
shooting
get the problem.
guns in public.
No, Muslims don't do that. If we were generally doing that, you would see that's the general picture. But it was actually a Muslim who stopped all of that.
All
And
right, you need to read some Heidegger and some Nietzsche because you are basically kind of a tool of an elite group that you hate, but you don't even realize you're a tool of that elite group.
well, that's a claim that you're making, right? But in practice, what's happening is we're just being nice to each other. Like people, um, like me, we have social parties and we encourage each other to be nice to each other, even without getting people to convert. So you can claim these nefarious kind of intentions, but on the ground, that's not what's happening. We're actually creating social cohesion. So I think it's dangerous to have these beliefs that we're all somehow controlled and whatever, and ignore
Why is it
all the
dangerous?
positivity. Oh, why
I
is it
think it's
dangerous?
dangerous. I think it's dangerous because you're worried about the pagans. That's your
Um,
ultimate fear.
Clearly, the Muslims don't care. The Muslims see themselves as just winning, right? So they're not scared of anything really. Okay, it's just like, um, why is it dangerous? Is because you're looking at a movement that's helping society, and you can, oh, maybe they're up to something, maybe they're controlled by this, whatever, and then you basically rob yourself of joining this group and benefiting from this group because you have these theories that cannot be supported.
Yeah, but in order to join this group, I have to give up basically all of my past. I mean, we
No, you
okay.
don't.
We have talked
You don't.
about fairy tales before
In
and Lord of
fact,
the Rings and so on.
you can bring back your successful
No,
past.
I don't know how. Under
No,
Islam,
I'm
I
just
don't
about to
know.
tell you. I'm just about to tell you how, right? The reason why the whites were in any way successful is because they had Christianity and they followed rules and they were more controlled and more rule based than the non civilized groups, right? They had, they said, this is how we dress. We dress up well. We dress up properly. We have marriage and we have all this kind of stuff. And the non civilized group, because they weren't so civilized, they couldn't organize themselves against you, right? So that's where your power came from, Christianity. Now, Christianity doesn't make any more sense. Nobody follows it. So you need to adopt a new religion, which will make you powerful again. That's all.
Yeah, yeah. No, I know. And you tell me, and I just cringe
And
because
you're
I
just
know.
delaying becoming a Muslim. I've got to
No,
go.
no, no, no,
It's,
no, no. I just want like paganism to come back. I mean, Richard Spencer is working on Apolloism and the Dionysian kind of subversion via Apolloism, and that could be like a great alchemical spell, right? You like,
Rob wants to believe
you
in
you you
fairies. You're a big
yes.
But yeah, but this is
fairy.
everything that drives people, Claire. I don't know if you realize
But
Yeah,
that,
you
you
know
but
just
what?
want to
I
believe
want
you're
fairies
too
actually drive
Christian
people.
Can I
and you
end with a
won't grow
compliment,
up.
Rob? Can I end with a compliment, Rob? I think a lot of people who are, alcoholics are suffering inside because of some sort of contradiction, but also um, maybe they're deeply spiritual or very smart and they're not going with their IQ or their spiritual beliefs because they're scared of losing their freedom. So that's one of the reasons why I like the Irish, because they get drunk a lot, but they're deeply spiritual, and a lot of people amongst them become Muslims. Um, and I think each society
Shame.
has their different strengths. So I think there could be something really good inside you, and that's when you're burying it with alcoholism, and
I mean,
that goodness.
the ultimate
Yeah,
goal would be to basically become Muslim and then take over.
yeah, and nobody
and
would mind.
and
The Muslims
and
wouldn't
and
mind.
you would just be where you are, Khalid. You would just have your happy life and cruise around the world. Meanwhile,
We'll
the
all be
Muslims are
happy.
taking over the UK, and I would subvert them into paganism, and you wouldn't even know about it. Don't even worry
No,
about
no,
it, brother.
nobody would be subverted to paganism because it doesn't make sense, right? But if you were to
Oh,
become a
sure,
Muslim,
yeah.
you'd just, become more powerful within yourself, and you'll be benefit to society, and you might become a leader in that society because people like useful people.
Khalid, what do you
So
think about free speech?
that's good.
Like in America, like if someone says the N word, like, and they're
Oh, that's
white and
oh yeah.
they're
I think
walking the
everything.
street. Do you think they
I think
should be put down or?
now in So Islam's got lots of interesting responses to, how to manage free speech, right? But my short answer would be, in a civilized society, there are rules for everything. So you don't go around insulting mums. You don't go around threatening people as part of free speech, right? You say intelligent things. But for example, Islam says in the cases where there's somebody ignorant, because you have to be clearly ignorant just to be throwing around insults, you say you don't do anything other than say peace be upon you, and you leave them. That's the most beautiful thing to do with them, because you don't leave them with hate. You wish them well, and you demonstrate to them, and you don't engage in their insanity as well. You know, you don't encourage it to grow. So that's my quick answer. There are many beautiful teachings in Islam. For example, be polite to each other so people listen to you more. So things like that. So I've got to go. Rob, keep joining. You make it really
Thanks
interesting.
for the combo, bro. It was a great combo.
I love talking to you as well. So, brother, sister, catch you later. Bye. Peace be upon you all. Claire, I'm on my way out.
Okay,
You're welcome.
thanks for
Bye.
coming.
You're welcome. Bye.
There's a slight delay.
I can't close. It's not closing. There we go.
So, Rob.
Hi, Claire.
Hello.
I don't know if I, did any damage, but I try.
Did any damage to the Muslim belief system, you mean?
Well, just in general.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it is absolutely logical. I mean, if you're Christian or even Jewish and you claim to believe in God, there's actually no reason for you to um, not become Muslim unless you're saying, well, I just, prefer the religion of mum and dad and I want to hang out with my fellow Jews or my fellow Christians. And most people just think like that. We're not going to say, oh, I find a religion that is in theory better than the religion of mum and dad. Very few people will think like that. And that's why, it's always a numbers game with regard to, religion. So, if you have more children, if you're more numerous as Hindus, and then you are, um, than Buddhists or the others, then I guess you win the game of demographics.
Yeah, Claire, can we talk about the monetary system briefly or no?
Sure.
Okay, so how does it work in your mind?
Well, capitalism cannot exist without usury, but the Abrahamic God has some things to say against usury, and we know this because he forbids Jews to practice usury on each other, which means that they can practice it, usury on Gentiles. But then the Quran came along and said nobody can practice usury.
Yeah, and so like, how does like a nation, um, like in an Islamic nation, for instance, without usury, how does the monetary system expand, or what's the word that they use? Inflate? How do people get new money? Like, can they apply for a loan? Yes, they can, but like that's not based on interest. In other words, like who in their right mind would give money to a business with no interest available?
You don't have to charge interest. You could say, for example, I think it's called simple interest. So I borrow $100 from you, and for every year that I do not return to you your $100, I pay you a fee of $10, right? And this is not compound interest; it's simple interest. So it means I'm just paying you a fee based on the amount that I borrowed from you, and you
Yeah. So in other words, like all of the people that want to make money off interest would just flee the country instantly, right?
Well, the thing is, it could work so beautifully in theory because actually the bankers are just a minority. And if the government were minded to ban usury, there's nothing they can do. There's nothing they can do. But usury is a behavioral addiction in that, it's really creating money out of nothing and shaking the money tree and letting future generations pay for
Right.
your borrowings.
But how does a economy expand? Right, it expands through creating money out of nothing. In other words, there are losers, right? But there are winners as well. So that breeds, dare I say, like, what's the word? Innovation. Sorry, it took me a little while. Innovation, right? Because you have free time to develop something.
Who has free time? Not, most people have to work.
A small business, a big
No, no.
business.
I think what
Either way, businesses.
I think what you're trying to say is that you think, people are just going to be stupid if they ban usury, and I'm saying usury and commerce are different things. In fact, a verse in the Quran says exactly that. Commerce is allowed, usury is not. But I think, you're thinking of capitalism. It's our God. It's our religion. How dare you
No, no, no,
propose
no. It's just an
that?
effective force
Well,
to
it just
influence
means
yourself
that
on the
we're good
world.
for our heads
Like,
and necks.
okay, so what do you think about 80s Japan then? Like, everything that happened in 80s Japan was just monetary expansion and or more loans to businesses. I don't know if you know about 80s Japan, but that's exactly how they did it. They just they gave money to businesses and then they virtually took over the world until it crashed. But let's
Sorry,
not,
they who
let's
what?
not focus on the crash, but I
Yeah,
mean,
so, yeah, but
initially
you're just
they almost
telling
took
me
over the world.
failures. Yeah, and then they didn't. And anyway, you should know that Japan is an American vassal state, or maybe you don't know that.
No, I know that, but I'm
Okay,
just
so
saying, like,
all
I mean,
policies have been imposed,
yeah, but either or, like, but
and it's
like,
failed. And you just don't
does the
make the fucking
CEO of
connection, do you?
Mitsubishi
You never make
care?
the connection that it has failed. Like your
Okay, but does the
pathetic
Mitsubishi
paganism. You
CEO
know
in
it's
the 80s
failed. You
care that
know
he's
it's been
under the
replaced by
American
Christianity,
system? I
but you
mean,
want to go back
no,
to your
he'll just buy
remnants.
more businesses in the US and keep selling awesome cars. I mean, what are you talking about?
Okay, so Japanese cars are better than American cars, but Chinese cars are even better than Japanese
Well,
cars.
now, I mean, now, because the Chinese let capitalism in. I mean, let's be honest. The only reason why the electric car business in China is thriving is because they accepted loans. I mean, let's be honest.
I would ban usury for the reason that it creates bubbles, and when the bubbles burst, people suffer. So let's have a more stable economy.
But
But no,
isn't that
I
like
get it that
eugenic there?
it's your
Isn't that
dumb
eugenic
religion.
when the
Well,
bubbles
it's your
burst?
dumb religion,
When the
and you want
bubbles
to carry
burst,
on
the low
with your
IQ people
stupid
lose out. Is that
capitalism.
not eugenic?
What?
The bubbles bursting. Is it not
No, no,
eugenic
marriage
when
is eugenic, and you've just proven that you're dysgenic. You don't want to marry. You prefer to commit suicide by cop. I mean, what are you proposing anyway? Hitler's your favorite person, and
well,
and
I'm just saying, money is like, and especially in nowadays, it's writing something on a book, or it's putting something into a computer. In other words, like money doesn't exist now. Would you agree with that or no?
well, we have units of exchange. So, I mean, what is your point?
My point is, like, you can just do it. Like,
Do
if
what?
the do like everything. In other words, like
Do fucking what? Do
If
what?
Rupert Lowe was like incredibly based, he could just
The
like
what? The what? The what is fucking based? You're
calm
just
down,
talking
Claire.
shit, right? It's
Calm
just
down,
verbal
Claire. I know, I
diarrhea.
know, I know.
Just
We're all
talk.
getting excited. I know. But can we just calm down for a second? All I'm saying is, if Rupert Lowe took over and like he
Yeah.
sent the
Then you'll be
military
supposed to
into,
start,
let me
and then
finish.
he'll kick
Oh
the
god.
Muslim out, and then you'll be happy,
No,
right?
I don't
That's
care
your
about
thing.
that. I
And
don't care about that.
you
All
got the
I care about
pathetic
is the bank.
fantasies.
All I care about is the control of the bank.
And what you gonna do about it?
Well, again, I'll say it again. If Rupert Lowe gained
If
control of England, and for some
unicorns
reason he had
existed, if pots of gold were found on either end of the rainbow, anything else?
Are you
Anything else?
saying gold is money, Claire? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying let's hear your list of pathetic fantasies. If Rupert
All
Lowe
right.
became
I'll start it
dictator
again.
of
I'll
Britain,
start it again. Okay. So there is oil offshore of the UK. Also, they need to start the fucking navy up again. But all I'm saying is, if Rupert Lowe got control of the Bank of England, right? He could just create money out of nothing, right?
if there were fairies at the bottom of your garden, if you had a genie with a lamp, yeah. Why don't you
Isn't
grow
that
up?
what?
Why
No,
don't you
no, no.
grow
Well,
up,
why
Walter?
don't you grow up? Because you don't understand the monetary system, man.
What
You
don't I
think,
understand about it?
but because it's a magic trick, Claire.
What's a
Do you
magic trick?
understand this? The
What's a
monetary
magic trick?
system is a magic trick. Usury is a magic trick.
Yeah, and I don't want any more of it. But you want to carry on
Okay,
with
but
it.
I'm saying take control of the fucking magic trick.
How? How?
Well, you just invent another magic. In other
Like
words,
what?
like anything, you just
Oh,
issue
just like
currency
anything. Oh,
that's
okay, I'm just
that
had
you
enough of your
control.
stupid shit, really. I mean, all you say is stupid shit, and you won't even remember. And
All right. Do I need to bring up the petrodollar again?
I don't think you're in a position to discuss the economy.
Well, ask me a question.
The petrodollar will soon be gone because the American
Great.
empire will
Yeah,
still be
great.
gone.
Do you have a plan?
Yeah, I've
Because
got a secular
I don't know if
Quran.
you
It's my
realize,
plan.
but the whole world is run on whatever this religion is of money. Like that is
Yeah,
the
it's
religion that owns us right
usury.
now.
That's why.
It's
But
not just
even
usury.
your
It's
hero
not just
Hitler wanted
usury.
to ban it.
You are using that as a tool that you
Hitler
think
wanted to ban usury,
is
and he couldn't.
important.
He couldn't do it because
He did
he
the
wanted to.
Deutschmarks, Claire,
Yeah, he couldn't do it. He
just
couldn't do
like
it because he
someone
wanted to
else in
finance his
America
war.
issued the greenbacks. It's the same shit. What do you mean? You don't understand it. You think you fully understand the monetary system. You don't
I'm saying
understand it.
ban usury, and you have no economic policy to propose other than to, come up with your usual
Banning
verbal
usury would
diarrhea.
put someone out on the fucking North Sea. You would be
And what?
drowning if you banned it. You would be drowning if you banned
Oh,
usury,
really?
Claire.
Who believes
Yes,
anything
you
you
would.
say?
What do you mean? Who would? What are you
Because you
fucking?
just talk
You are
shit.
so
You
retarded,
just
Claire.
talk shit,
Again,
right?
I
You have
don't mean to
what
like
what
bring
what
this
what
up again, but it's
what you gonna
IQ,
do
it's
next?
force, and it's control of the fucking spell.
What spell? What spell, Mr. Wizard?
The money spell,
Yeah, what
Claire.
about it?
That's how control is enforced. Are you?
What control
Do I
over
have
what?
to? I'm so sick of this.
Yeah, I'm sick of your stupid shit too. Why don't you just fuck off?
Yeah, you would like that, wouldn't you?
Well, unless you want to carry on embarrassing yourself talking stupid shit.
I'm saying Muslim, like Islamic, like alliance is not the answer. Banning usury is not the answer either. You need to have a plan for the
What's your
monetary
plan?
system.
What's your stupid
Because
fucking plan?
because Claire, if you don't have a plan for the monetary system,
What's your
some other
stupid
group
fucking
that
plan?
has
Let's hear it.
dominated the monetary system
Yeah,
for
what's your
thousands of
stupid
years
fucking plan? Let's hear it.
will happily do it.
What's your stupid
Well,
fucking plan?
again, Japan
Let's
in the
hear it.
80s, Germany, Deutschmarks, fucking American greenbacks. That's how you do it.
Well, I don't know what that means. So
Well, look it up and
Germany will
educate yourself, Claire,
no,
because you don't understand the real
all you
world.
can
You
say is
don't
the these
understand how it
words, and then
works.
you can't.
You don't
Yeah,
understand
but
the
all right,
spell.
explain
You are
then.
still in
Explain
spelled.
then, Bob.
Yes, fine. Okay, you're a slave. You will always be a slave until you understand the system, Claire. Honestly, you will always be a slave until you fucking really get your head around the system because you don't understand the magic trick. And admittedly, it's a big fucking task, but it is very simple as well. And obviously, the Germans had to go. Obviously, the Americans had to go with the greenback pre like the Fed, right? And obviously, the English had to go pre like 1066 and or the Glorious Revolution. In other words, you need like force and you need IQ and you need tally sticks, right? Because, or you need a rope with knots, like the South Americans did it. In other words, like all of this stuff that we talk about when it comes to economy is just complete bullshit. And there's fucking Bitcoin now. So it's a whole different level. It's a whole fucking different level. And honestly, you're an idiot. You're a fucking troglodyte if you don't understand these mechanisms. Anyway, I'm gonna have to leave your stream because I think I've been
I've given you the chance.
extremely fucking retarded. But sorry,
I've given you the chance to explain your brilliant ideas, and you haven't been able. I muted myself.
freedom of speech, Claire.
Yeah, what about it? I've allowed you to express your ideas without interruption, and you've given up.
Well, I said all I needed to say, but you just didn't understand it.
Well, nobody can understand the ravings of a drunkard. I mean, is your manifesto written down anywhere? Of course it isn't. It's just, greenbacks, whatever, something plucked out of the air. And when
Great.
people don't know what you're saying, you'll say, look it up. It's a familiar tactic that I always come up with. If you're serious about your idea, you would have written it down somewhere, but of course you're not.
Oh, yeah, this is a shit test. All right, I'll work on my manifesto. Thank
Thank
you
you.
so much, Claire. Great
Thank you
fucking
for
speech.
coming. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everyone.